The Triple M Grill Team.
Turn Gus, MG and Matty on 6 till 9 weekdays.
The ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Now, they just want to be called now the Islamic State. They've basically formed their own country. They've claimed a third of Syria, 1/4 of Iraq, and they are just running rampant over there. The Americans have stepped in, and it is a humanitarian crisis at the moment. They're not declaring war, but it's a humanitarian crisis. They're calling it over there, well, they're just wiping out
genocide.
Shiite Muslims, local religious people there who were the Kurds, who had their own brand of religion, which is sort of more village-based, and they're just wiping those guys out. And, of course, they're wiping out the Christians at an awful rate. And people want to know where this is going to go, how far it's going to go. Well, we certainly know from an ISIS point of view, they're intent on making the whole world is under their form of Islam, which is Sunni Muslim. And the other day on 3AW down in Melbourne, they had a guy on there who claimed to be one of the commanders of ISIS, and it was pretty chilling. This is one of the things that he had to say on it.
So you want the entire world to be under the law of Allah?
Correct, sir.
Including Australia, for example?
If we can swim there, if we can catch any of your boats as Ghanima, we will come to Australia.
Now, Tuesday night on Inside on SBS, they were talking about the ISIS crisis, and there was a lot of moderate Muslim people on there that were absolutely horrified by what had been going on. But there was a young 19-year-old man named Abu Bakir, and he's half Italian, half Iraqi, lives in Australia. Now, he arrived at SBS that night dressed in ISIS attire. Oh. He is a supporter of ISIS, and he turned up there with his lawyer. Now, he went over there. He alleged to do humanitarian work, but it's said that he crossed the border from Iraq into Syria 3 times, and there's been serious questions about this young man. I've got to say, people, I found him an absolute dope. Complete.
He's a dangerous dope by the sounds of it, though.
Yeah. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
Given the rights to the people, feeding the people, sheltering the people, clothing the people.
Okay.
This is what ISIS is trying to bring: justice, peace, and humanitarian aid to the people.
But when shown graphic and violent images of Islamic State activities, this was his response.
No comment. You want to have any other questions about it? Just direct it to my lawyer.
And shortly after there, he just got up and walked out. And it makes you question if the bloke has been over there and he alleges doing humanitarian work, but to get on there and actually to be defending ISIS is almost enough that, he should have had the authorities there at SBS and arresting the kid. Just, as you said, a complete and utter dope, but a dangerous dope. We've got Phil on the line from Kellyville. G'day, Phil.
G'day, guys. How you going?
Good, buddy.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on this, mate?
Mate, I think it's putrid, to be honest. I've spent a lot of time in the forces, and look, we're a really lucky country being so far from anything else. We don't have to worry about really, border crossings and all that sort of stuff like Mexico and stuff like that. But the reality is, the only major type of threat that we're vulnerable to is attacks like 9/11 and that malicious one that we saw in England, where they just walked up to him on the street. And I think that after seeing what I've seen, you got to realise that these people that go over there and just decide to train with these people, it's not just a father's decision to bugger off from his wife. It's a supported family community unit, and I think we should start looking at deporting the family unit if they're found to be training with terrorists over there.
100%, Phil. The real dangerous thing about ISIS too is they're using modern technology and modern warfare. They're taking that. I mean, the Americans were arming the Iraqi army, and the ISIS are taking it off the Iraqi army. So they've got some pretty sophisticated weaponry. Phil, can I ask you, where did you serve in the forces?
I'd rather not go into it, to be honest.
Good as gold. Phil, you never thought, when we removed Saddam Hussein out of Iraq, you'd never thought you'd be thinking to yourself, geez, maybe we're better off with him being in there, because these people that have replaced him appear to be much worse.
Absolutely, and the reality is, if there's not a governing body that we're willing to control, which I don't particularly think is right anyway. I'm not a government activist. There's plenty of decisions I've seen that we didn't agree with as soldiers, but the reality is, if they don't have a governing body from any particular religion or state that's willing to leave other people's decisions to themselves, like the Western to the Western and Islamic to the Islamic, then we're always going to have these problems and conflict.
Good on you, Phil. Appreciate your insight, mate.
Yeah, let's speak to Dave in Burwood now. G'day, Dave.
G'day, guys. How you all going?
Good, buddy.
Yeah, not too bad.
What are your
Dave.
thoughts?
Love the show. Love the show.
Thank you, buddy.
Long-time listener. Hey, yeah, I know. I don't know whether it just all got sort of blanded out or what the story was, but when I saw that for the first time, I've got kids. They're 18, getting older now, but I remember when I was 7, and I remember when I was 12, and that's going to go down as something very significant in their lives.
100%.
How can you bring a child back to this country with those experiences that they've had, holding up a flipping head? Who was this human? Who was his father?
They're not human, mate. They're not human.
It's unbelievable.
How can you expect that child to be normal back in our society?
Well, David, what that guy who alleged to be a commander of ISIS on 3AW said that this is a war they hope to fight for 500 years, that his kids will fight and his grandkids and great-grandkids will fight. So this bloke takes his kids over there and he is schooling them. They go over there and say, right, this is how you live, this is what you do. And it's just... Mate, it's child abuse. But then the question is, Dave, what do we do with these kids that then maybe one day want to come back and live in Sydney? I mean, seriously.
It's demented. It is a demented mind. I mean, okay, but my father, we've got some funny stories. I mean, he took me to an abattoir once. Mate, that still affected me today.
Yeah.
So if you've got something as significant as a head being held in your head, unfortunately, these kids cannot come back. And I feel very sorry for the uncle, the grandfather from... Panania.
Yeah.
But with all seriousness, this is just something they just can't. I mean, I've got Lebanese mates, I've got good Muslim mates, and they say the same thing. They said this is contaminated people.
I was with yesterday. Same type of people, mate. They were saying this is not us. We've got someone on the line who wants to remain anonymous. Boys, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. Love the show.
Thank you, brother.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is I want to be straightforward. I've lived in Arabic countries. I lived in Lebanon and a lot of countries over there. I read the Quran and I've read the Bible. And I'll tell you one word to everybody out there needs to know. There is nothing in the Quran says kill by the name of Allah. Nothing says call the name of God and kill people. We have no right to kill people. I have a lot of Muslim friends, and Muslims are a couple of different Muslim types. There's the Shias, there's the Sunnis, and they all not believe in killing people and cutting people's head. In their religion, there's nothing. These people are just creating their own religion, understanding and trying to force people to believe in something they created. Islamic religion is not like this. Islamic religion is a very, very nice religion, very sweet religion, loves everybody, loves Christians, Muslims. If we follow Bible and Quran, they're very similar. It's all about love. It's not about killing.
Hey, brother, I wish there was more people like you in the world,
well,
mate.
I'll tell you what, I read the Quran a couple of years ago, and it is a tough read. There's no doubt about it. But what struck me was amazing was there wasn't a great difference between the Quran and the Bible. There were all the same characters on there. There's just slight different interpretations. But one of the real problems we got with the Islamic religion remains in it's a fight. It's a militant fight within the Islamic religion itself. When the Quran was written, there was one Islam. And a little way down the line, a few centuries later, there's a chasm. There was a split. Now you got Shiite and you got Sunni. And they're just at war with each other. And people say it's just, the Muslims, a war against the West. Mate, they hate each other more than they hate us. Let me tell you, and this is where the problem has begun.
The Grill Team, Gus, MG and Matty Johns. Triple M Breakfast.